Hey guys, I'd like to welcome you back to a brand new project. I'm making an elephant in this project. This is a time-lapse polymer clay sculpting demonstration where I make something random across a series of videos and show you how I do it along the way. This is just the start of the project. It's not very interesting now, but it'll get a lot more interesting as I start adding clay. So without any further ado, let's get this show started. And in this video I'm going to do the armature. I'm going to be using these materials right here. This is some galvanized wire. This is some skinnier galvanized wire, which I'll use to tie this stuff together. Some needle nose pliers and some foil for a bulking agent. I'm going to bulk it out with this, save some clay. And you could use masking tape, but I'm going to be using aluminum foil tape. I just been wanting to give it a try. It sticks really well and I can cut it in thin strips and everything. I just wanted to, give it, this stuff is expensive, so I wouldn't expect anybody to try to use that. But I just wanted to give it a try. Okay, so in this video I'm going to be building an armature for this elephant, and I'm going to try to make it as comprehensive as possible in my own way, I guess. This is a diagram for the armature I'm going to make. This right here is the shoulder width, and this is the hip width, and this is the length of the back. That could include the length of an arc or whatnot. And this is just, I color coded it so you can see the difference. This is the first part of the leg, the thigh or whatever. This would be the shin, and this is the foot. And same thing up here, this is the first part of the arm, and then the other part, and then your hand. It don't have to be bent in this position. This is just to help show you when you go to bend all your wire, these are the lengths. If you have the convenience of having a sculpture in front of you, you can measure the lengths of each part. And I borrow this from my mom. It's a sculpture of an elephant, and I'm going to try to make this elephant. So it's kind of like a visual challenge, I guess. Kind of like the lion or the tiger face thing I did. But here are the measurements. I copied them. Right here is for this right here, and right here would be this part, and of course the feet are all about the same length. And that's why this front part is long. That's the trunk, and this would be the tail. This is what I came up with so far. It's just pretty much the same size scale of that one. I'm trying to make it the same. But you see where I put a Sharpie? That's where I'll be bending it with 2 pairs of pliers. And I'm going to show you how I came up with this. How I did this in time lapse. Try to explain a little bit. After that, I'll go ahead and bend this for you, and we'll be done with the armature part. But anyways, here's the time lapse part. Okay, so you might be wondering, what do you do if you don't already have an item already made that you're trying to make? Well, usually what people do is they just print out an image of whatever it is that you're trying to make. You print it out in the proper position and posture and like a side view or whatever it is whatever it is you need, and then you bend your wires to where they're within the contained image, like within the parameters of where the clay would be. I didn't have to do that, so this was super easy for me to do. But I just straightened out a wire and I'm marking it where I want it to bend, and I made sure I used my pliers 2 sets so my bends are more accurate. But I'm marking it further to get these other bends on here. I couldn't mark it all the way because there was an angle right there, so I'm just adding on that measurement with my ruler. Just copying what's on the paper still. And I'm just doing real quick bends to get this to where it could be standing. So I have this so far. So now I'm just going to tie these two together like this with some skinnier wire, with some of this. I'd like to mention real quick that I'm using galvanized wire to do this, but you can also use copper wire and aluminum wire to make your sculptures. Copper wire is a lot softer than galvanized, and aluminum's even softer than that. So you have to consider those things when you're using this. It has to stay in place and not move around. That's the sole purpose of the armature.
to keep that clay in place and not let it move around during the baking and cooling of the polymer clay.
Okay, so now we're going to try to bend this into a somewhat of a posture to where it looks somewhat believable. I'm going to start off by just making rough bends to the up here at the angle, the hips. Something sort of like that. I got the pliers right there where the Sharpie is on that wire. So when I bend it, it'll bend on that mark. I'm just going to kind of bend it back a little bit. I don't know if that's a good angle for filming. Do you see how that looks? Definitely mark your wires so there's no guesswork in this. Makes it really, really nice, I think. Same right here. I'm going to bend this one back at a different angle, hopefully, so you can see. Looking pretty cool. Bend this back a little bit. And then bending it forward just a little. And I want to grab it down here by the ankle and bend that back just a little.
Just wanted to point out real quick, the final position of these legs, the posture of all these bends and stuff, are not as they appear in this video. I took a little time off camera to make fine adjustments as needed.
Now I have to figure out the wire that's going to be bent into the trunk and the little tail, if it's going to have a tail. To do that, I'll just lay this on a sheet of paper and then kind of draw the shape that I need, which would be something like that. Come down on here, and then you have maybe a little tail. So if I bend me a wire to be this long and shaped like that, I can tie it to this, and that'll give me the basic bones I need to build this armature.
So this is basically an example of what I was talking about earlier, where you print out the image that you want to sculpt and you bend the wire within that image. I'm only doing it for the trunk and tail, but this is kind of an idea of what I was talking about. So yeah, I'm just finishing this up, tying this together the wrong way. I'm putting it on backwards. I later cut it apart and switched it around. But this is the basics of making a armature, the wire part, the bones of the armature.
Of course, it could be reinforced, like more wires could be bent to the same angles and tied to it with thin wire to reinforce this, but this feels like it's going to be strong enough. It's just, it's a small sculpture.
In the next video, I'll be doing some of the foil, which is what I use to bulk this out and to save some clay. I really, really appreciate y'all guys for taking the time to watch this video and for being patient with me. Please like this video, it helps me so much. Drop me a line, let me know what you're thinking in the comment section. Looking forward to seeing you, and until next time, I will see you here again soon. Thank you so much for watching.